All right. Welcome back to another reaction video. Here, another Venza reaction video. We've got some friends going to share their reactions to some industry news. With me, as always, is Sean Shields from the Atlanta office. I'm here in the Hague, and joining us today to get their reaction, our victims, volunteers are. We'll start with you, Iris. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your company.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Iris Steinmetz. I'm VP of Product and Partnerships for SnapShot, the Shiji Group brand. And we're into hospitality analytics. We have a platform and lots of connectivity.
Fantastic. And Josías, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, this is Josías de Espada from Pirsonal. We help companies increase sales and engagement through multimedia personalization. This is personalized videos, images, etc.
Fantastic. So if you have seen Josías before from another reaction video, he is a vet. He's back for more punishment. Iris is an old friend and always glad to have you on the phone and get your feedback. So, Sean, let's share the article and get some reaction. Okay. So this is from our friends at Hospitality Upgrade. We always like to share some news that Hospitality Upgrade brings forth. So this is from their summer magazine, and essentially the topic is looking at expenses, labor expenses, and this is sort of connecting to some previous reaction videos that we had earlier in the year with regards to GoPar and the unbalance between GoPar and RevPar and some of the increased costs in payroll. And so this article is talking about how labor expenses make up 40% of operating costs, and the particular challenge that hospitality has with making sure that people, a very diverse, very labor-intensive industry, the people working in the industry can be equipped to work with some of the new technologies and guest experience, etc. The advanced technologies that many of their guests are very comfortable with, but the hotel workers may not be personally familiar with themselves. So the article is basically indicating that there seems to be a growing gap between tech comfort among the staff and tech expectations among the guests. So how to deal with that gap, recognizing that gap, your reactions. I will give Iris a little bit of a break because you're the newcomer. Josías, what's your reaction to some of these this notion of this gap between tech savvy among the hotel staff and tech expectations from guests?
So I think there is something that is key. Well, there are two things that are key. On one hand, let's say it is important to consider that technology helps in most of the cases reduce cost, and there is an increasing trend from that angle, which also has some legal implications among organizations, people getting fired, but then people getting because of the legal issues and all that. And then on the other hand, we have that younger guests, so people anything between 8 to 16, potentially to 30 something, are already used to technology, and they are expecting companies to have some kind of technology in their experience. Not only when they, on a face-to-face, from a face-to-face perspective, but also when they, applications, mobile websites, to open the, I don't know how you call that in English, but to key electric keys or something like that.
Yep.
So
and
it
door
is
locking through apps, etc. Yeah.
correct. So that is already expected from an experience perspective from a lot of guests, and there is a huge trend, I would say, between even teenagers and things like that. That I'm not that old, and I am already I am already far away from all that. So it is already happening. So it is an investment that it's worth it because people are already expecting that from hotels. Obviously, it depends on the type of hotels and country, service, etc. But that is already happening. So those are my at least initial thoughts.
Yeah, great. Iris, what do you think?
Well, I find it interesting that, like, if we look historically, the labor cost has always been the highest for hotels, right? I've been running a hotel myself for a while, so it's always been the highest cost. And especially because, like, you have, like, in certain areas at least, a high turnover of staff. But on the other hand, in a hotel, they're your most valuable asset. So it's as well to recognize that. So
Yeah.
if we think of, like, how technology has been evolving in the hospitality industry, specifically in hotels, it has been very slow over time. There has always been some adoption ongoing. I don't think it has sped up in any way lately. So I'm not sure why we would expect the staffing costs to go dramatically down just because more technologies are used. I think what we should rather look at is potentially in which areas is that staffing cost? Has maybe the workforce changed? Do we have more IT people now in comparison to maybe front office staff? Yeah. Do we have we maybe outsourced the roommates, but have, like, now a data scientist, like, because we're looking at data differently. So we're moving there, right? So the question is just, has the workforce as such changed when we talk about the 40%? And are they maybe even more expensive? Because compare the wage of a waitress towards an IT guy, for example. So the 40% costs as such don't astonish me at all or worry me or anything. I think labor is the most valuable asset in a hotel if you want to be guest focused.
And if you've got, I guess, part of the article, and you haven't the luxury of reading the entire article yet, but part of the article is if you've got this staff that are working with people that are familiar with a lot of technology, are you investing in that staff so that they can be tech savvy and they can answer those questions and those queries? And if people are having a hard time with the technology and the room experience, etc., are people that are on property equipped to respond and assist? It seems to be, as they point out, seems to be an ongoing challenge. I think it was one of our last reaction videos. We were talking about how technology and hospitality has tended to be a little bit more of a lagging industry in terms of adopting technology. This article is kind of pointing out that that's not so much of a luxury, or that would be a luxury. That's not the option anymore. It's an interesting time with new innovations out there, and both of you are in the forefront of that with innovative technology for hospitality and helping hotels be more competitive. So, anything else to share, guys, that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is one of the challenges for hotels is to find the balance between, because in the end, people like people. So there are certain moments when we prefer talking to a human being, to interact with a human being for a specific task, especially those that are, that require, stress, specific moments. either in the buying process or when we are already in the hotel, etc., etc. So that's what has happened with chains in some countries, etc., that have have changed most of their labor force for machines and things like that, and then they have go back to what they had previously because we love interacting with people. Now there are other tasks where, for example, now there is this new. It's not a trend yet, but technology is that you can even you can even. This is what happens at 5 o'clock now. My brain doesn't work. Restaurants like digital restaurants where it's a machine making the food for you, or anything related to marketing, check in, check out. Those kind of things where you usually don't need a human being to interact with you. Those maybe the friction, maybe there is less friction in those processes, or anything related to marketing, etc., etc. So I think that hotels they need to find the right balance between where they can actually invest in technology or where they should actually invest in people 100%, because you need to invest in people, in your team, employees, etc., and also because your clients, guests, etc., they are sometimes expecting people to get back to them on anything related to that. So last week, I believe I was reading this article about a hotel that got sued by one of their former employees because, in this case, this lady and other team members were let's say laid off because they were substituted by computers, and it was more like an admin task, and it's something related to accounting. So, and then because of the law, the hotel actually hired them back. So hotels, they need to find their balance between what is legally fine, cost effective, and then what people is actually what we are all expecting from them. So just a few thoughts from that.
And I think we see this a lot, right? I mean, the legal aspect is more behind the scenes, but for the rest of it, I think we see this a lot. And it's not only large hotel chains, it's as well a lot of individual hotels which are trying out. And I mean, it might be that you're at a hotel where they're just trying a room service robot. And so instead of being, like getting your meal and your bottle of water brought up by a waiter, you'll actually have this friendly robot delivering it, right? Then there is like a fully automated hotels where whatever dinosaurs greet you at the reception somewhere in Japan or whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's a gimmick. Obviously, a lot of people are just going there to see that rather than staying at the hotel. So I think the balance of technology versus people and as well how much you invest into the technology will largely depend of what experience you would want to give to the guest and in what sector of the hotel the hotel industry you are in, right? Whether you're like rather in the more luxurious or not. But the most important then is back to your original question, Daniel. For those hotels which actually invest in technology, like the adoption rate by the staff is then probably what you need to ensure most, like to protect your investment. And that might as well be part of the labor cost now, like in terms of training and refreshers and onboarding and whatever you have there.
Yeah, there is something. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just both of you are. It seems to be, very much in accordance. I mean, you're basically saying if you've identified what your mission as a property, as a hotel group is, well, we want to have this level of technology because we know who our guests are and we know the type of experience they want to have. If they want to have if you've got the type of guests that are expecting a completely automated where they can walk right in, I don't have to talk to anybody because I'm traveling for business and I'm knackered and I don't want to talk to anybody and I want to just get right to bed. A very automated check-in experience as just one example of the guest experience. They want that, so you need to make sure that technology and your people are familiar with that technology. But if you've got a much more moderate tech footprint, if you will, or tech experience, then you just throttle back what your expectations of your team are. It seems to be you just have to really know your sector and what kind of hotel you want to be. Josías, you were going to add something.
Yeah, just quick comment. For example, in some countries, well, here in Spain, for example, you have by law you cannot hire, you cannot exchange machines. I mean, you are allowed to use X percentage of robots per X percentage of actually human beings working in your hotel. So I assume that countries like Germany, or maybe I don't know if in the US, etc., are more or less aligned, because in the end we are talking about a lot of people that work in a lot of hotels, like a lot of people, and that they cannot just be changed by machines from one day to another. There is also all the legal implications around that. So I mean, it's just
it's a multifaceted topic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for chiming in. Love the conversation. Appreciate you joining for this reaction video. Sean, anything to as we wrap up?
Iris, as long as those dinosaurs and those robots can upsell, then I think we're good. I think we're good. If they make me buy the extra dessert with my hamburger that I got from room service, then I think we're okay. No, great conversation, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
See you next reaction video.
Thank you so much.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.